Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to Fascination Street.
I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with the lovely and talented Anna Vocino. Anna is a comedian, a voiceover actress, an actual actress, a podcast host, a cookbook author, and an entrepreneur that has her own line of food that you can buy at the store, like marinara sauces and spice blends, all kinds of things like that. In this episode, we talk about all of that. We talk about why she did all those things. Why be a comedian? Why be a voiceover actor? Why be an actress? Why get into podcasting? What makes you think you could write a cookbook? All of those kinds of things. We have a lot of fun. Anna is one of the co-hosts of Vinnie Tortorich's Fitness Confidential podcast. So, of course, we talk about him. We talk a little bit about the podcast and how she became involved in that. And we tell some fun stories about previous guest Paul Cappelli. And I let her know that I learned some sad news about him super late in the game. So that was very embarrassing for me. He was a delight. Go back and listen to that episode. Paul Cappelli. It was about 2.5 years ago. He will be missed. And that is the last sad thing you're going to hear in this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my conversation with Anna Vocino, the voice of all kinds of weird things that you've heard of, things you haven't heard of. She's the voice of NBC sometimes. She's the female one. She's the voice of several podcasts. She does all their intros and things like that. Anyway, this is my conversation with the lovely Anna Vocino.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast. Anna Vocino, how you doing today?
I'm doing really great. You were right to pause to wait to make sure I was done talking before you started, because that's how I've interrupted Vinny so many times and just ruined, just flat out ruined the beginning of the show.
Does he have to reset and start over?
Yeah, I'm a ruiner.
Love it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Anna Vocino, comedian, voiceover actress, podcast star, podcast producer, and cookbook author. Good Lord. Oh, also entrepreneur. She makes all kinds of crazy shit. We're going to get into all that. But first, Anna, what I like to do is I like to start from the beginning. I like to ask people where they were born and raised, kind of how they grew up. It helps us understand how they got from where they were to where they are. So if you don't mind, well, where were you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in St. Mary's Hospital in Richmond, Virginia, in Rico County.
What room number?
I don't know.
Oh, cool. Nobody's ever said the hospital before, except one person ever, and it was Carol Baskin.
Oh.
Turns out it was the same hospital as me, so.
I'm sorry, that bitch Carol Baskin, and I'm quoting somebody else. I don't call her that.
Oh, I get it. She's super cool, by the way.
I just want to make sure that's the Carol Baskin we were referring to.
That is the one.
Okay.
That is one. I was talking to a different guest, and they were like, oh, my friend Carol Baskin, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa. Did you say Carol Baskin? And they were like, yeah, this OBGYN down the street. I'm like, oh, that's a different.
It's not that bitch Carol Baskin. That's a different one. Yeah. So for sure you needed to talk to that bitch Carol Baskin. I would want to know too. And by the way,
she's amazing.
I'm sure she is. I would love to talk to her.
She really is
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and shortly after I was born, my dad left and my mom went into the hospital for depression. Back to St. Mary's she went.
Okay, look. So you were born not long after your dad left. What did you do to make him leave?
Listen, being born is a lot sometimes for dads. Dads are like, oh, I wish you were never born. I got to go.
He's like, I got to go get some cigarettes.
I don't even smoke. No, you know what happened? It's a crazy story. And by the way, let me tell you, this story's been told to me by my mother and never my father. My father's never spoken of this story to me. So any perspective I give is purely my mother's jaded, angry perspective. So I was born, my mother went into the hospital almost immediately for postpartum depression. And in a weird life irony. My dad had a mother who went into the hospital for postpartum depression and stayed in for 20 years. She was institutionalized, and she came out 2 other times and basically had 2 more kids, his younger siblings. So when his wife, who he married, went into the hospital for postpartum depression, he was like, I'm out of here. Not doing this. I already lived that. So that's all I know.
And this is your mother's version of the story?
Mm-hmm.
That actually paints your dad in a pretty good light, considering it's her version of the story.
Oh, she said a lot of really shady things about him along the way.
I would imagine.
I had to do a lot of therapy to forgive my dad because I had only the picture my mom told me. And my dad's one of those guys who he'll never talk. You will not find it out how he feels about anything. And that's how he stays safe. That's okay. Listen, I'm almost 50 now. What am I going to do? Be mad at them?
You're not almost 50. We're the same age. So knock it off.
Okay. Then I'm not almost 50. I'm almost.
Exactly. That's exactly how we talk about age on this show.
Anyway, so here I am. All levels of fucked up.
So your dad left, but he must have come back, right?
No.
Wait a minute. Well, how do you?
I knew him.
Okay, how? Usually when dads leave, they just fucking leave the state and you never hear from them again.
He took a job in Alabama as a professor. He was working at University of Richmond as a professor. He took a job at Auburn University at Montgomery as a professor, and he said he was going to take me with him. The problem is in the 1970s, it didn't matter what state the mother was in, the mother got custody. So that's what happened. So I grew up with my mom. I visited my dad a few times a year. So, I mean, I don't know what, hence comedian.
So he left her. He didn't leave you.
For sure.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not good that he left.
I guess. I don't know. What do kids do? I'm 8 months old. What do I know? I'm like, I have to poop in my pants again. Like, I don't know what I'm doing at 8 months old. I will say, I think something that really lent itself to me being a flexible human being emotionally and mentally, and where I'm placed geographically, is the fact that my mom was in the hospital for a couple of years and I couldn't live with my grandparents all the time. So I literally floated around. I was a float around kid, and that's made me a very adaptable human being. You have to develop a sense of humor when that's happening.
Yeah, no shit. How else can you cope, right? You can
Right.
laugh or you can cry, but you're still in the same situation. So why fucking cry about it?
I don't think I've ever told that story in an interview. So already right here, you're winning.
Holler. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're drinking water, but yet you were just carting around boxes and boxes of marinara.
Oh, I should be drinking my own sauce?
Drink your marinara. Like what
you're implying?
What the F? Okay, so did you grow up in Richmond also?
No. What my mom, when she got out of the hospital, moved to the DC area, and I grew up in Arlington, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
That's where I remember growing up.
Got you. You're not there now.
No.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be like a Lucille Ball comedic actress or a zoologist because I love Jane Goodall. Go ahead. Next question.
All little girls want to be a veterinarian, but you wanted to be a zoologist. It's the same thing.
It is the same thing, but more exotic animals.
Sure.
Let's be honest. Like Jane Goodall was a conservationist.
Still is.
Yeah, she still is. She's amazing. She's like 150 years old and she's still doing it.
She has one of my favorite quotes on the Adam Carolla show.
What'd she say?
He was talking to her and he said something and she interrupted him and said, "You have no idea how wrong you actually are." And it was fucking hilarious.
Bless.
I loved it.
That's why we love her.
Why didn't you do that? Why aren't you a zoologist? Why aren't you a Jane Goodall?
I don't think STEM was a destiny for me. I think I was too much of a class clown to follow my STEM dreams.
Now, a lot of comedians, I want to say most, but I'm not going to. A lot of comedians have a law degree and shit. So they could do it. Why couldn't you?
Yeah.
Why don't you go get some zoology degrees?
I didn't. And in fact, I took the LSAT and got a really good score despite getting diarrhea in the middle of it and having to excuse myself.
Go on.
That was it. That's the whole story. Don't eat a McMuffin before you're taking the LSAT.
Or, and hear me out, don't eat a McMuffin.
Okay. Well, I know that now. Then I felt like, oh, what if I have low blood sugar in the middle of my LSAT?
Well, why acting?
Fuck. I don't know, because I enjoy it. You fuck.
So did you act in school?
Yes. I would act in all the productions. Yeah. But see, growing up on the East Coast, there was an appreciation for the arts. Like I took ballet for 14 years and you took the acting classes and the singing classes, but that's not what you're actually going to do with your life. You're going to go get a respectable job and do the thing. Maybe if we can hope you can be a lawyer, because obviously the zoology thing's not going to pan out. But like my mom was very honest with her thoughts about being an actor, which was one step above being a prostitute, which, by the way, one of my first jobs that I got, it was around 2000.
Oh, I'm going to pause right there.
Well, this is along the lines of the prostitute comment. So I got a job doing a trade show, and it was for this company, and you wear the ear prompter and you say the words, and you do a 5-minute presentation every half hour. It's the cushiest job, and they pay you $1,000 a day. And back then, this is 2000 too. This is 22 years ago.
We're selling boats. What are you selling?
No, it was packaging, like the cameras that I can't even remember this. It's the cameras that take the picture as the item goes down the factory line. A camera takes the picture for quality control. And then if something's wrong, the person will see the picture and stop the line and fix it. So it's robotics, packaging shows, all that. For this failed STEM girl was actually very interesting. However, my level of cushiness, which I appreciated in the job. So I'd give the presentation and they would fly me to all their English speaking shows all over the world. And I would get my $1,000 a day. And if it was like a 7-day show, I would get $7,000 plus travel, plus per diem.
God,
plus it's
amazing.
corporate people. You go out to eat with corporate people, they pay for dinner. So you pocket your per diem. Like it was a dream job. Well, my mom was convinced it was an escort service.
Okay. She's like, let me get this straight.
They're paying you how much?
They're flying you to Tokyo and wining and dining you. And then you're coming home with $9,000 in your pocket. Come on now.
It was the greatest job.
Why'd you stop? Because your mom thinks you're a prostitute?
No, I would never stop because of that. Please. She wouldn't watch anything that I did on television too, because the description, because I always did off-color stuff and, sketch comedy shows and things like that. She'd be like, that's porn. I'm not watching it.
Oh, so why did you stop doing that?
The trade show job, 9/11 happened and everything kind of just stalled out, the trade show industry.
Yeah, and all the travel. Yeah, that'd do it.
Yeah. And that was fine. Life moved on. I moved to California.
That's what prompted your move to California?
Yeah. In fact, my husband was supposed to fly to Barcelona on September 12th.
Barcelona.
Plaza de la Catalunya.
Oh my God, that scared me.
I love scaring you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome.
She's like, I don't even know where to begin. You are one fucked up mess.
I know, as I was going to say that. I'm not saying the quiet part out loud.
You can. I just dance and then it feels better.
There you go. So it was your husband's job that prompted your move across the country, right?
No. We were both actors and we formed a theater company in Atlanta where we met with about 8 of our close friends.
Shit.
And that theater company is still going on. We're not involved anymore.
What's the name of it?
Whole World Theater.
Oh, I've never heard of that because I don't live anywhere near there.
No,
okay,
you don't.
Cool.
So it's an improv theater. That's where we got our 10,000 hours, I guess.
It's a lot of hours.
It was a lot of hours. It was a lot of hours, a lot of time put in. We did 7 shows a week for, I guess, about 7 or 8 years, plus rehearsals, plus any stage plays that we did. So it was a good training ground.
Whoa.
We worked in Atlanta. Atlanta at the time was like, it was just so easy. You just like be like, hey, we're doing a commercial for AT&T. You want to be in it? Like it was like very easy to work.
That sounds amazing.
I don't know what the kids do now. It's harder to get jobs now. And that was where I did my first voiceover job. And I was like, oh, remember the cushy thing? It's like, oh, now I can talk and nobody has to look at me. I want that job. And it pays more than the trade shows. Yes.
So let's talk about that. So how did you get into voice acting? Because it's not an easy nut to crack.
No, it's not. I don't like to mess around. I will spend the money to go train with the best people as opposed to spending a little bit here and there and not getting any better or not getting a good demo. So I was very focused and targeted and I knew it was something I wanted to do. And I booked a lot of jobs in Atlanta because in Atlanta, you go out for every kind of job. There's not like a specific agent for things.
Oh, okay.
And so I brought all of my bookings on CD, got copies on CDs. I brought them to Los Angeles and I went to my Los Angeles coach, which is how I met Vinnie, by the way. And she said, these are all corny, regional, horrible ads and we can't use them. So you're going to learn how to speak well and not your little weird Southern Mid-Atlantic drawl and not the good kind of Mid-Atlantic, not like a cute, like Dorothy Parker, Hudsucker Proxy, cute, like it wasn't cute. It wasn't very cute like that. It was like, hey, you better get your insurance on your umbrella.
You're fucking kidding me, right?
Well, I had a pretty good Delmarva accent.
That's awesome.
Do you know what a Delmarva accent is?
Nobody does.
You going down a beach, hon? You going down it like a diphthong in the O's and like umbrella and insurance. It's like a Southern meets Pittsburgh meets Philly.
Is it like how some people, instead of saying director, they say director?
Yes. Yeah, dum-dums. You're funny. I like you.
Thank you. I also like me. I tell people all the time, and it makes my wife roll her eyes every single time. God bless her. I tell people all the time, I'm the funniest person I've ever met, and I've met professional comedians.
But see, that's good. You need to be the funniest person that you know, because
That's what I'm talking
honestly,
about.
you're with yourself quite a
Yeah,
bit.
take that, Adam Carolla.
Yeah. I don't know why we're so mad. I'm mad at him now too. Adam Carolla.
Ah, what's going on? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hi guys, I'm Vinnie Tortorich. I'm the guy that has the Fitness Confidential podcast and the book by the same name. I've started a few companies, but I just started a company called NSNG Foods. And our first product is Ultra Fat. What's that? You say fat? Oh yeah, it's got fat in it. It's got ultra fat. And the reason we call it ultra fat is because it also has electrolytes. So this is something you want to take when you're on the move, taking the nation and the world by storm. We have the coffee almond with coconut and vanilla. We also have the one with coconut, vanilla, and almonds with no coffee. So you can go check it all out, nsngfoods.com. Now go listen to my good friend Steve Owens because he knows what he's talking about.
Let's get back into it.
So things are going swimmingly in Atlanta. Why did you move to LA?
Because you got to try. You got to try to make it to the show.
Well, you were a big fish already over there in Atlanta.
You got to go to New York or LA if you want to do it. You got to try it. I wanted to be in TV, and most TV is filmed in Los Angeles.
Gotcha.
So that's why.
Well, how'd that go?
Good. For a little while.
Nice. Love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
I worked. I had a day job as a political consultant.
Oh, that's a frightening statement in the 2000s. For a network or for a politician?
For my day job? No, I was a FEC compliance consultant for members of the House and Senate.
Whose House and Senate? The federal government?
The federal government's House and Senate. So like Bob Menendez from New Jersey, Bob Casey from Pennsylvania, Capri Cafaro from Ohio.
But you're in California?
Yeah, you can work from anywhere. I was one of the original work from home people.
Oh, word.
That's why I took the job, because I was told that if I learned campaign finance law, I'd be able to stay at home with my daughter and go to auditions. And I did. And it worked really well. And I hated it. I hated every second
Every
of it.
second?
Yeah. You know what I liked? I was in Chicago because they would fly us to the campaigns because we had to gather up all the documents. I flew to Chicago in June of 2005, shortly after Obama won the Senate campaign in 2004, right? And he was opening a new Senate committee, which is what we were going to be doing the reporting for. It was obvious he was going to run for president. And he might have already even filed for president at that point, but I did not meet him. But what we would do is to go out and take the staffers out and get them drunk. So we were at Trader Vic's in Chicago, famous location, got the staffers drunk. And by the way, with every other campaign, you hear the crazy stuff that actually goes on. And the worst that they had to say about him was that he was a chain smoker. And I was like, all right, so was I at one point.
Was the point of getting them drunk so that they would say some crazy shit?
Mm-hmm.
And was that part of your job?
Yeah, we need to know what we're looking for in the documents. Like if somebody has their trainer, their personal trainer on staff, or if the fundraiser is stooping the event planner.
I got you.
You know, there are certain things you can spend money on in campaigns and certain things you cannot. And most of our clients were grassroots and minority campaigns, and they didn't have a lot of money. So if they were spending things improprietously, that was a problem.
That makes sense.
But I also hated the pressure of knowing that my work was going on the FEC report. So then, you know what I mean? So then the opposition, they said, well, they did this and I should have caught it and flagged it. You know what I mean? I didn't like that pressure because I don't even care about politics, but I grew up in DC. So everybody does that. You know what I mean? They do politics, one horse town.
So how did you not kill yourself with that job? That sounds like a goddamn nightmare.
I created resentment lumps and I had to have a lumpectomy out of my boobs.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I did not name them.
Can I name them? Was it two of them? Can we go with Bob and Doug McKenzie?
Please, the McKenzie brothers would be great.
All right, cool.
They were actually drinking beer at the time of removal. I mean, I'm not, this is what I was told I was put under, but.
Well, congratulations for beating the Big C. Well done.
Oh, I didn't have cancer. No, it wasn't. They were resentment lumps, but they were not cancerous lumps. No.
You're serious. What the fuck is a resentment lump? Look, I'm a medical doctor. What is it? No, I'm not.
This is my theory. I hated the work so much. It was not for me. And it was me thinking that I had to have this day job because I would not fully commit to my acting career. I would go shoot a series of television and immediately come back and be doing FEC reporting for candidates who were assholes. I just hated it. I hated the pressure. I hated everything about it.
Name them.
I just did. I named some of them.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. I would say to my husband, I feel like I've got a fat man of rage sitting right here on my chest and I can't breathe. And it was like right where I was pointing was where like resentment lumps came up. I had to have all these things removed. It was so weird, but it was not cancer. I am fine.
Well, what the fuck was it? I'm so confused.
What I've been told is because I've had more removed since then.
From where?
From a butthole.
Whoa, take it easy. Oh, that reminds me.
Yeah. Hey, we can say butt on this show, but we cannot say butthole. Okay. This is not a butthole show.
No, we can. We just can't talk about your butthole. Hey, but that reminds me real quick. How's your husband's butthole?
It's great.
It's great. Okay, cool.
Oh, that's right. Because I told you about the colonoscopy. It's clean. And in fact, the nurse came out, was like, he's clean, and like showed me the pictures. I was like, I don't.
Like, he's camera ready. Like, wait, what?
Thank you so much. Anyway, I am totally fine. There are what I've been told from doctors is that there are some people who grow cysts and lumps. And when they biopsy them and they see something funky in there, they just want to take them out to make sure. So they don't know until they actually take them out. And then they tell you whether, oh, no, it's fine. We were just being extra careful. Okay. Seems like a lot. Could have left them in.
Do you get them in different places, like your wrists or maybe your elbow or some shit?
No, never. No, it's usually in a fatty tissue place. And guess where the ladies have the fatty tissue?
Their husbands' buttholes.
In their husbands' buttholes. This interview is going awry.
My wife is going to be like, what the fuck were y'all talking about?
She doesn't listen to your show.
Sometimes she does. Yeah, sometimes.
No.
Oh, sometimes.
She doesn't care. She does not care. How long have you been married?
Well, I'm glad you asked. On July 20th will be 20 years.
You better get her something nice.
I did. I got her 20 years of being married to me.
That's my 20 year.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Y'all can't see this, but she's literally showing me her finger. That's super weird. So is that an emerald?
That is an emerald.
Well, that's weird because 20 years is platinum. What's up?
I like emeralds.
Everybody likes emeralds.
Yeah. My birthstone.
You came to America. No, you came to Los Angeles and you got a real, actual professional voiceover coach, right?
Yeah.
And they completely changed everything about your addiction. Your addiction, but your speech impediments.
Just to be aware of certain words, certain ways of saying things. Listen, now having done it for so long, I understand that like if you have an actor's background and comedic timing, it's a lot easier. Radio guys have nice sounding voices, but they can't do anything but that read, and you need to be able to change it up. So I learned that. Took a lot of lessons, did a lot of practicing, did a lot of auditioning. I still audition every single day, throwing a lot of things out there into the dark.
Aren't you the voice of NBC?
Yeah. The female voice of NBC. Do you think they're going to let a lady voice just be the voice of a network?
Well, I mean, come on now, right?
I know. Ugh.
Tell me if this is incorrect, and then I'll call you a liar. So I've heard that male voices give direction and female voices give information.
Okay. I've never heard that before, but sounds good.
Like on a subway, the lady's voice says, "Next stop, Hoyt Schermerhorn." Right. But then the man's voice says, like, you can't smoke, you can't take a shit in the subway. Like the male voice gives the
if you see something, say something.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've never heard that before?
I was like, what? If I see what specifically?
And who would I say something to? That person?
Be more precise, sir.
There you go. Be more precise. What about voiceover, besides being the lazy comedian that you are,
I'm very lazy.
Made you really just jump feet first into that part of the business of show.
Well, with show business, you have to get on the horse the direction it's going.
That is very well said. I've never heard anybody say it like that. I like that a lot.
Really?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, I mean, it's true because like sometimes we really want to fight it. And I heard an interview with Bill Hader one time, and I think Bill Hader's a comedic genius. And now we know about Barry. This interview was happening long before we've seen Barry, which is another work of genius from him. And I don't know Bill Hader at all. I just think he's wonderful. He was so upset that he did not become a movie director, or at least he wasn't at the time of that interview. And I think to myself, dude, you got on the horse the direction it was going and you're just fine. And we put up a lot of resistance, especially with creative stuff, or stuff doesn't look exactly how we want it to look. And of course, I have the benefit of hindsight looking back on this. The thing is, for me with voiceover, I had a way of being able to act and not feel self-conscious or that eyes were on me. I always felt very comfortable on stage, and I always felt very comfortable behind the mic, and on camera or in a room, in an audition room, was harder for me. But if I can audition on my own with nobody listening and send it out, that works for me. I like that setup. It's a good introvert job. And I am very introverted, believe it or not.
Even though you love being on stage?
I love being on stage, but then I don't like talking to anybody when I'm off stage. Not that I don't like talking to people. I like people, but I really have to gear up. I really have to like, okay, I'm going to a party. Ooh, I think it's an energetic thing. When you're open like that, you open yourself up to a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
When I walk into an audition room and I see 10 other brunettes my age, and I look at the sign-in sheet and there's all signed in for the same role, I murder them. I strangle them in their necks. No, I feel how much everybody wants the job. And then I start to go, how can we even do this? This is crazy. Like I overthink it. And then I like, this is so stressful. Why are we putting up with this? You guys, let's revolt. But when I'm by myself, I don't have that issue. I can just do my audition and move on. It's one of those things. I feel like when I walk into a room, I'm very good at absorbing people's energy. But I actually did an audiobook about this sort of trauma. When you grow up with a parent who is very tenuous in their stability, let's put it that way, you become hyper attuned to other people to make sure they're okay. Like I'll find the one guy in the room who's not okay, like you, for instance, right now. And I will say, hey, what's going on? How are you? Like I want to take care of people like that. So for me, I'm so overanalyzing stuff right now, but I think that's why voiceover worked better, because I could just kind of let loose and do my thing.
Was this a book you wrote or a book you were hired to do the audiobook for?
It's the only book I have done the audiobook for, because again, let's remember, I am lazy. And
you can just stop there. That's cool. I get it. I can dig it.
No, there's some people who are I'm listening to Rosamund Pike do Pride and Prejudice right now.
Oh, wow.
She's awesome.
She's the Gone Girl, right?
Yeah. And she played Jane Bennett in one of the Pride and Prejudices, maybe the Keira Knightley one. Anyway, I have mad respect for audiobook actors because it is a grind. And I do promos, which take 20 seconds. Let's get this done. I got shit to do. I got marinara to sell.
I recently heard that you're also the voice of the Bill Alexander Show.
Oh, that guy.
Was that just a friend? He said, hey, do me a favor. And you said, sure.
I don't know how he found me.
Oh, really?
I've done his show. And
you were hired for that?
No, he didn't pay me.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Okay. All right.
Do you know Bill?
No, not at all.
He's a really nice guy. He's in Pittsburgh.
He sounds like a great guy.
Yeah, he's really nice. Sometimes you'll be amazed if you just ask.
Yes, I know.
Voice talent will do things for you.
That is true. For instance, were you to call my personal cell phone number, which is also the phone number that I use for my business, which is not this one, you will not hear my voice. You will hear the dulcet tones of Mike Dawson.
That's awesome.
Because he's a fucking cool dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Now available wherever you buy audiobooks. Richard Stanley's Up on Game. From robbing banks to ruling his prison gang. Paco got spun out on meth one week and hit the yard with a box cutter in hand. He'd apparently been holding a grudge against some new guy. He was from the same car as Paco, but he seemed to prefer to stick to himself. The quiet new guy was in his late 50s and sported dark brown hair and a handlebar mustache. For whatever reason, Paco decided to allegedly target this obscure and solitary member of his car. They say the man lay there on his bunk, reading a book, when Paco came into the building. He made his way toward the man's bunk in meth-fueled haste. With his box cutter gripped in his right hand and meth making most of his decisions, at that point, Paco lunged into the man's bunk and began slicing away. And slicing and slicing. Defensive wounds were dug into his forearms, and foot-long gashes were added to the quiet man's rib cage before Paco jumped off. Paco had sliced himself on his own left forearm during all the mayhem of his surprise visit with Mr. Obscure. Paco proceeded to haul ass out of there and headed back to his building. Delve into the true life story of Richard Stanley. Up on Game, from robbing banks to stacking Bitcoin. And the sequel, Up on Game, When I Ruled the World. Now available wherever you get audiobooks.
Let's get back into it.
Tell me about Yoda and me.
When I was working on a show for VH1 called Free Radio, which was a scripted show or semi-improvised show, my husband...
What is your husband's
Lauren.
name? Oh,
Lauren.
sorry. I should have just waited.
Look at us. We're so connected.
So your husband, Lauren Green.
Lauren Michaels. His name is Lauren Tarquinio.
No, he's going to have to change that last name.
No, well, that's why I couldn't take it, because it's too many vowels. It's too much
It's a
Italian.
Fucking mouthful right there.
Yeah. Lauren and David Hornsby, who's one of the executive producers of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. David came to write on the first or second season of the show that we were doing, and they developed an inside joke, as writers do.
Oh, sorry. I like jokes.
Yeah, right?
I
Hilarious.
like jokes.
You don't even have to hear them. You just love
I
jokes.
just love them.
You love the idea of them.
I do so much. Oh my gosh.
They developed an inside joke that what if Yoda was actually a character actor who lived in North Hollywood and he was not able to get a job after the Star Wars franchise, and he felt very dicked over and was having a hard time.
Wallace Shawn?
Basically, the LA version of Wallace Shawn would be Yoda.
Cool. Gotcha.
Because he's a New Yorker, I think. So they turned it into a podcast and I produced it for them, and it was hella work.
Okay, so he was your husband at the time already?
Yes. I've been married to him for 23 years. So
Why did he, this is going to sound super disrespectful, maybe. Why did he ask you to produce his podcast? Like, what about your work history told him that you could produce a podcast?
well, we have a studio in our house.
Where? Show it to me. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Well, we didn't have that booth then. There's the booth. You don't get the nice mic, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, she does voiceover. So she has a studio. Okay, go ahead.
And I know how to turn on a computer and figure things out. He's not going to do that. He's the creative.
Okay, sure. Hey, I'm the talent. Can you put
Exactly.
can you flip the knobs and turn the buttons?
Yeah. So that was that.
Cool.
And it wound up getting at the time, and that was back, I had to write XML code to update. There were like cute WordPress plugins. So I'm not that lazy.
That's how divorces happen.
By the way, I didn't know what XML code was. Somebody just said, here, do this, copy and paste that. And it worked. So Yoda and me wound up being like a little cult favorite, not classic. It's not a classic. Jesus Christ.
Wow, now that's a classic. So then somebody else was like, hey, I heard you know how to do a podcast. Will you do it? Tell me how you met the lovely and curvaceous Vincent Tortorich.
He's not curvaceous anymore. He had his third ball removed.
Ew. Oh, it was a stress.
Somebody who grows extra things. It was a hydrocele. It was a stress ball.
I was going to say it, but I didn't.
You're like, I don't know. I love it. By the way, you've tried not to be offensive, and I just am myself. And then you're like, oh, it's okay. I can say butthole.
Yeah. Tell me about how you met Vinnie Tortorich.
Vinny says hi, by the way. I talked to him like an hour ago.
Fucking love that guy.
Yeah, he loves you too. He said hello.
He holds the record for being on my show the most.
That's what he said. He's very proud of it.
He's been on my show 5 times.
He's very proud of it. He told me, he's like, I've been on that show more than anybody. I was like,
I love
okay.
that guy. He's awesome.
Well, thanks for rubbing it in because I haven't been on at all. So my friend Nancy, who was my voiceover coach here in LA, fabulous. She's still a voiceover coach.
Hi, Nancy.
And demo producer. Hi, Nancy. She won't listen.
How dare you? You don't know?
Nancy. Nancy gave me 5 sessions with Vinnie as a present, a birthday present.
Okay, so he was a trainer?
Like workout. Yeah,
okay.
Workout sessions.
Gotcha.
And we did a couple, and he made me buy a couple 10-pound weights, which I still have. And he made me buy a Bosu ball, which I gave to a friend. I was like, this is dumb.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
You know, the bouncy balls, but it's on a flat, it's like a half semicircle ball on a flat disc, and it weighs a ton and it just takes up room.
Oh, fuck him.
Right? I hate that guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's for balance and agility and working your butt muscles and things.
you know a lot about Bosu balls for not knowing what a Bosu ball is.
Oh, I'm just guessing.
So I worked out with him twice, and then I texted him a few times, and then he never texted me back.
Sweet.
I was like, that guy's a dick.
Sounds like the angriest trainer.
I've never told this on the air either. And then like a year or so later, Nancy's like, oh, you have to do a podcast with Vinnie. He has a book that he wrote and it's awesome. You have to do a podcast with him because you produced.
You're all, fuck that guy.
I was like, fuck that guy. He never texted me back. He owes me like 3 sessions. He still owes me 3 sessions, maybe even 4. We might have only done 1. I can't remember.
He owes you 3 sessions and a response to your goddamn text.
Yeah. I'm waiting. I said, all right, I'll talk to him. I don't like him though. I don't like him. And he called me up and he told me all about it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. It sounds like a lot of work because he did not know how to turn on a computer, and he will corroborate that.
He wanted to start a podcast specifically about his book.
His book was about his time in the health and fitness world. And I believe he called an agent at William Morris because Dean Laurie, his writing partner, was with William Morris because he writes for TV. And William Morris was like, and I say William Morris, but it was a guy at William Morris, was like, we can't help you. You need to have a platform. And that was back when the word platform was being bandied about. This is before we had influencers. We had to have platforms. He called me. He's like, I have to have a platform. And at the time, I was really depressed. Like I went on a 3-year-long depression. It was not good. And luckily, I had voiceover because I couldn't get arrested on camera during that 3-year period. And I was having a hard time.
If you're in Miami, that's where they film Cops.
Oh, really? Do they only film? They film it in Florida because they know?
Dade County, yeah.
That's awesome. They're like, we're good here. We don't need to leave this county.
Everybody can get arrested on camera here.
Yeah, they're cool with it. They're all on cocaine anyway, or meth or something. So he called me up and I said, no, absolutely not. I don't need to do that for you. What's in it for me? What's in it for me, bro? You owe me 3 sessions.
So he wanted you to push the buttons and turn the knobs?
He wanted me to do that, but also talk with him and be a co-host with him. And so it's a lot of work to do all that. So I said, no. And then he said, let me send you a PDF of the book, which he didn't know how to do. He had to get Dean to send it to me.
Sure.
I'm not exaggerating when I say he had 0 technological skills. He barely could use his phone. Dean sent me the book and I was going on a girls' trip to Hawaii. And his book was so good that I just sat reading it on my little iPhone 4, like scrolling through, formatting a PDF. You know how you have to like format it and then move it over for each line. But his book was so good. I don't know what came over me. And I just said yes. And at the time I was blogging gluten-free recipes because I had been diagnosed with celiac, but I hated all the foods that were for sale at Whole Foods. Like the pre-made stuff was all kind of gross and overpriced. So I was like, I'm going to figure out how to make things myself, and blogged about it. And then also was subsequently just putting on weight because I was eating carbs and eating carbs and eating carbs. And I was sad. I said, I need the carb.
So celiac means you have an issue digesting or whatever gluten. Is that what that is?
Celiac disease is an autoimmune disease. And the only thing they know about it is that when the person who has it eats gluten, the gluten for some reason activates the immune system to attack the villi in the small intestines. And the villi are those little things, remember those little microscopic things? They absorb the nutrients and they biopsy it. And if it's flattened, it means you have damage from the immune system attacking this villi, and then you don't digest any nutrients. So I was just always so thin. I don't know why I was so thin. Turns out I didn't digest a nutrient like my whole life.
Okay. So does that mean that you were, I guess for lack of a better term, you were starving?
In a way. Yeah, I was extremely anemic. At age 28, I was diagnosed. This is long before I met Vinnie, because I think I was 37 or 38 when we started the podcast.
Okay. Yeah. Take it easy with the age numbers. We don't do that here.
I was hush.
Okay. Thanks.
I was 28 when I was diagnosed. And as a 28-year-old, severely anemic, my DEXA scan showed that I had osteopenia, which is like right before you have osteoporosis. So I had like the bones of an 80-year-old. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Hilarious.
Not good to have the bones of an 80-year-old when you're under 30.
Unless they're in a closet somewhere. Oh.
Sorry, Grandma. This is the murder show.
Yes, I forgot to tell you that.
Oh, great.
I'm right outside your door.
Oh, you have great sound.
I'm in your booth. You were talking about meeting this idiot, and then he was like, be on my show. And you were like, fuck off.
Oh, yeah. Celiac, whatever. So I have that. So my body started healing, but not all the way. And then also I was just having a lot of carbs, but they just have to be gluten-free carbs, which is the number one thing. Everyone's like, I'm going to go gluten-free and lose weight. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You will still gain weight. If you're insulin resistant, like I was, gluten-free won't help.
What the fuck is a gluten? Is it flour? Is it wheat?
Wheat, spelt, which why would you ever eat that? Barley, rye. I do like a rye bread. Too bad. It's a protein in those things.
What about a nice rye on the rocks? Can you have rye on the rocks?
I can have rye on the rocks, and I enjoy
cool.
a rye on the rocks. I enjoy a bullet rye. Yes. Distilled alcohol, the gluten does not pass through. However, when I was first diagnosed in 2002, they said, do not have distilled alcohol because it does pass through. And then they changed their minds.
How did Vinnie convince you to be on the show with him?
He didn't. His book was so great. So he should thank Dean Laurie for that, because Dean Laurie put all of his stories together and made it a kick-ass book. The book is great. Everyone should buy it. You've read it, right?
Of course. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So he got me. And then we turned on the mics and I said to him a couple of things. If we're going to do this, I'm not editing. I'm not going to cut things. It's got to be slapping an intro on the beginning and slapping an ending on the end.
And ladies and gentlemen, that has not changed.
Nope. It's free form.
Oh boy, is it.
Yeah. And because he wanted to do all these radio drops, like, because he came from the radio and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's really fun to listen to him. And he was like, hold on, wait, hold on.
Because now he produces it. Now he understands how hard it is to produce a show.
It's really funny to hear him.
But yeah, so then we discovered that we actually really liked each other and enjoyed doing the show together and had good chemistry and had fun together. I changed the focus of all of my gluten-free blog, which my friends and family were reading. It wasn't like I was a smash hit gluten-free blogger. No, but I changed my focus to be NSNG, no sugars, no grains, a registered trademark of Vinnie Tortorich. That's where the Eat Happy books came from.
So when the show first started, was it called Fitness Confidential?
No.
Or was it called The Angriest Trainer?
It was called America's Angriest Trainer.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because he was angry at the health and fitness industry, not people.
FYI, he still is.
Yep.
Again, this is going to sound super disrespectful.
Thank you for prefacing that.
You're welcome. You wrote a cookbook called Eat Happy.
Mm-hmm.
So far, from what I know of your background, I don't know the answer to this question. So I wrote it down so that I could ask you.
Okay.
What makes you qualified to write a cookbook? Like, who the fuck are you to write a cookbook?
Well, that's what everybody in publishing said to me.
Mm-hmm. They said, hey, you're not a celebrity chef.
That's right. And also, that's the voice inside my head, too. So thank you for reflecting that.
I'm here for you. Anything I can do to help.
I always tell people, I was like, if you write a book or put out a movie or do a podcast, any sort of creative content, any doubt that you have deep within you, don't try to squelch it, because
ladies and gentlemen, this is not the first episode to be brought to you by the word squelch.
Oh,
please continue.
Oh, you're shaking your head with a great amount of disdain.
Ugh, squelch, please. Okay, go ahead.
Dampen, tamper, push.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
All I'm saying is that any deep, dark thought that you have about any creative work that you put out there, don't worry. Someone on the internet is there to reflect it back to you with a nasty, mean comment. That's all I was going to say.
That is all true. Oh boy, is that true.
Anything. And it's funny because you'll be like, that person's so mean. And then you think about it and you're like, wait, I literally thought those exact words about myself. So thank you, Diane7521.
Oh, you bitch. I hate her. Diane7521 is the fucking worst.
Worst.
So why did you decide to write a cookbook? There's a million cookbooks out there, probably well more than a million. What made you decide that you needed to add one to that?
I struggled with that as well, because I feel like we have the internet. If you have chicken, leeks, and lemon and mushrooms in your fridge, you can put those words into Google and get 1 million page results with recipe ideas.
I feel like if you have leeks in your fridge, you bought it for a recipe already. Like, who the fuck has leeks?
I do. But yes, that's true. You're right. Most people will. Okay, let's just say chicken, lemons. I don't know. What's some dumb shit you buy at the grocery store? I've got mayo, olives, and lemons and chicken. You could make something with that. Just put it in Google. They'll tell you. But with NSNG, no sugars, no grains, and quitting stuff, I was very focused on changing the way that I was eating and then shifting all my recipes to be focused in that way. So a lot of the recipes in my first book are stuff that I've been making for decades, including my marinara recipe, and just adapted stuff to not have the pinch of sugar in it. Like my North Carolina pulled pork. I've been making that for 20 some odd years, but it always had brown sugar in it. So I adapted the spice mix to not have that. Now that spice mix has kind of evolved into what's the spice mix, the barbecue dust now that I'm selling. So it's like all that stuff had to shift in order for this to work, to be NSNG recipes, but also for myself. I'm a mensch in that sense that if it works for me, I want to put it out there for other people. And then I had to learn food photography because the quotes I got were between $30,000 and $50,000. So I learned that. And I put together the book, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I swore I would never do it again.
What was the hardest part?
The back and forth.
Not the reformatting after you thought you were done?
Oh, no, that happened in the second and third printings. We were making corrections.
Why didn't you give up?
Because I announced it publicly. And I'm nothing if not motivated by strangers having to like me. Hello.
But your number one attribute, as stated by you earlier when you held up your fingers, is that you're lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't quit because you had put it out there. You told everybody you were going to do it.
I think I'm actually not lazy.
Oh, so you're a liar.
I'm a liar, but I am a liar. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I kept going. I called Vinnie many times and I was like, why am I doing this when people can just Google recipes? And he was like, and he would say, and this, I had this in my head, they want it tied up in a bow. They want it tied up in a bow. And so I did, being a lover of cookbooks myself, that helps. I always say to people who want to do video games, want to voice video games. And then I'm like, but you've never played a video game. They're like, yeah, I don't want to play them. I just want to voice them. I'm like, you need to play video games to know what the voices are. Like if you're going to put a cookbook out, wouldn't it make sense that you would love cookbooks and see the cookbook? So I had an idea of what I wanted to do. But I was doing it all myself. I was the boss of it. I was the editor in chief telling people what to do. So I was petrified. It wouldn't be well received. But I like to cook this way. I hope other people do too. And it turns out they do.
Eat Happy is the first book. What's the second one called?
Eat Happy 2. TOO.
TOO. Okay. All right. Take it easy.
All right. Settle down. Grammar.
So you have managed to turn some of these recipes into actual physical, can buy at the grocery store products.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I had a listener call me.
Ooh, what did he call you? Wait, was it Diane 7451? Because she's a bitch.
I do not. I blocked her.
Okay. All right.
Okay. For my own safety and hers.
So you had a listener of Fitness Confidential?
Yes. A Fitness Confidential listener called me and said he's lost about 80 pounds cooking for the books, and he's a food manufacturer. And he's wanting to get away from making stuff with so much sugars and grains. And he's heard me talk on the podcast. So I want to do my marinara. And to be honest with you, I'm the one who dragged my feet for a really long time about it, because I thought to myself, you just make your marinara, right? You don't buy a jar. And then not realizing that most people actually don't make their own marinara, despite me giving them the recipe. I gave it to you. Don't you make it?
They want it wrapped up in a bow. And then I started looking at the other marinaras that were available. Now, there are more now that don't have sugar in them, but then almost everything on the grocery, and I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago when the development process started. And then we launched the first flavor in August 2020. But it took a couple of years of figuring out, do we want fresh basil? Do we want to try dried basil? It's fresh. I put the Villa Cappelli olive oil in there, and it just took a while to go back and forth with the samples. I'm going to interrupt you because you said the magic word. Paul Cappelli.
Yeah.
I heard so much about him and his damn olive oil on you guys' show.
Yeah. Did you ever try it?
No, but I did interview him.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And
delightful human.
He was amazing. He gave me his own personal family recipe for limoncello.
I have my limoncello that I make that he taught me how to make.
Nice.
Yeah. But I make mine with less sugar.
Oh, me too. And mine tastes like fucking Lysol. It's the worst. I'm doing it wrong.
You have to put a little
doing it
sugar.
wrong.
Limoncello doesn't work with no sugar. Yeah. I don't drink it anymore, sadly, but it's liquid Valium. I fucking love that stuff.
But here's the thing. I don't even know what made me look for it, but I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago is when I found out that he passed away.
Oh, wow. It was May 2020.
Yes. And his
2 years
episode of
ago?
my show came out March of 19. So it was like just, 14 months after I've been talking about him, and I had been recommending people go stay at Villa Cappelli.
Yeah, it's a great place to stay.
I had no idea that he had passed, and it made me really, really sad.
Wow, you're really insensitive.
Yes, that is the truth.
Yeah, he will be missed. He was an amazing dude.
He was so rad.
Yeah.
He had such a history. Like his episode of my show was fantastic. I mean, he worked on the damn Max Headroom campaign. Hello.
I know. He's one of those guys too, who's like, he led 20 different lives in his lifetime.
Yeah.
He really packed it in. Also, with his husband, he packed it in. I feel like that is Paul channeling through me right now. By the way, when we first stayed there in 2011, and Paul was making all these cock jokes right in front of my dad, who, as I mentioned earlier, is like just the definition of stoic. And Paul said, "They go, yeah, like when I'm sucking cock." And my dad's like, It was honestly one of the joys of my life to be able to witness Paul Cappelli just completely alienate my dad talking about cocks.
So moving on from cock.
Never.
Do you use Villa Cappelli olive oil in your products?
I do. And Stephen, Paul's widower, Stephen sends it to me and I put it in the sauces. And then I send him jars and he can sell them on the site. And that means we're both the worst business people because it's just like, well, you send me a little bit of the supply, I'll send you some supply. And eventually that will be untenable and I will have to source another olive oil. But for now, we're able to do it. Our production's small enough.
Is it for sale everywhere still, or is it just really for you?
What, the olive oil?
Olive oil, yeah.
Yes, no, he's still making olive oil. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
He is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I need to talk to him about that because we're about to go do the fancy food show in New York. We're securing distribution in other regions. We're going to be ramping up production. So I have to find out from Stephen, hey, can I have a lot of oil for free? No, I'll pay him.
Make sure that you talk to Andy Shriver and Vinnie Tortorich about ramping up production.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I've got an earful.
They have thoughts.
They are not in good moods.
What are your products that maybe a fella, a lady can go buy? Does it say Eat Happy on it? What's the brand name?
It does. The brand is Eat Happy Kitchen. I named it Eat Happy because I feel like my brain chemistry really shifted for the better.
Really?
In case that wasn't obvious, I'm much more balanced now.
So you were a total a-hole before?
No, I wasn't. I would get very depressed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I had a big problem with depression, but for me personally, I never decided to go on medication. My brain chemistry shifted when I took out the processed foods. It really helped. So it seems like a silly sort of trite name, Eat Happy. But for me, it was the first time I'd ever had a breath of fresh air from depression.
Nice. What are the products?
The products are marinara, puttanesca, arrabbiata, which is spicy sauce. It means angry sauce.
That's a spicy sauce.
It's very spicy. Pink crema, which is basically a vodka sauce, but I don't put vodka in it, so I call it pink crema.
Boo. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a pumpkin marinara, which is a great way to do pumpkin spice in the fall without any added sugar. It's delicious. It's honestly really good.
Why did you decide to do a pumpkin marinara? Is it because Vinny calls you pumpkin all the time?
No, you think. No, in my second book, I decided to do a gnocchi out of cauliflower. Yes, it can be done. It's very similar to making the cauliflower tots. Did you just throw up a little bit in your mouth?
Yeah, it was more than a little, but go ahead.
It was a lot. It was voluminous vomit. I made a pumpkin marinara with cauliflower gnocchi, and it was really good. The pumpkin goes really well with like cheesy stuff.
Sure. What else you got? You got some dust?
I have spices now. I got the dust. I got the barbecue dust.
Tell me about your spice bombs.
I just dropped the spice bombs, organic, no sugar added. Again, I've been making taco seasoning forever since like when I first got married and I went to buy an El Paso or a Ortega or something like that. And I turned it over and it had the corn syrup and the starch and this and the maltodextrin and the things and the FD&C. I know that some of them, they don't have that anymore, but some of them still have a lot of that. And I was like, I'll just figure out how to make taco seasoning at home. And I did. And I will say, I like to blend spices and make things and write recipes. So that kind of made sense that I would do that. And so then I was like, oh, other people might like what I'm doing too. So I have the recipe in the first book, but then I also turned that into one of the dusts. So I got the taco seasoning, the dill ranch seasoning, which is killer. It's so good. And the barbecue dust, which I love, 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 love.
Are all of these products being made with the help of that listener?
No, he does sauces only. He can't do spices. So we found a co-packer in Colorado who does the spices and they're great.
Gotcha. This is going to sound crazy, but
everything you've said sounds crazy.
How? Wait for it.
Okay.
Dare you? So, oh my gosh, I'm going to have you come back on because sadly, we're about out of time on my end. I'm going to ask you on air, will you come back?
Yes.
At another later time and things?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Anna Vocino, where can people listen to your podcast, Fitness Confidential?
Please check out the Fitness Confidential podcast, found every place that podcasts are found. Fitness Confidential with Vinnie Tortorich.
And Anna Vocino.
I do the Monday show. I don't really. Listen, to his credit, he learned how to produce his own podcast. I'm very proud of him.
Oh, buddy.
And do the Twitter. He does Twitter. He does the podcast.
Oh, he does do the Twitter. And your books, Eat Happy and Eat Happy Too, TOO, those can be found everywhere where podcasts are. Where can we find those?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Eathappy.com or something?
Eathappykitchen.com. There's PDF versions you can get. If you hate Jeff Bezos, and a lot of you guys do, and I get it, you can order it from bn.com. You can go to eathappykitchen.com and get the sent directly from the publisher. And I have a new book coming out in 2024. So we will definitely talk about that next time.
Oh, shit, son. Is it called Eat Happy on Fascination Street?
Yeah.
It's all gluten-free street food.
Yeah.
All right. Rock on.
Can you imagine? There's never any gluten-free street food unless it's pupusas. Pupusas.
But isn't that wrapped in?
It's corn. I can't have it.
Really?
I choose not to have the grains, but I medically not supposed to have the gluten. If that makes sense.
I thought papusa was wrapped in like a potato.
No, it's corn.
Oh, well,
you think pierogi is potato.
See, there I am. I'm getting my...
Get your carbs straight.
Or?
Nothing.
Well.
We enjoyed it.
Can I ask you one more question?
Uh-huh.
Anna, is there anything I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about today? Like, did I miss anything?
I don't have an agenda for your show. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about? You're like, no, I don't care that much.
No, I'm good right now. I do have one curious question.
Okay.
And I'm hoping you cannot answer it. The most recent episode that you were on,
okay,
it starts off with the dulcet tones of Mike Dawson. But in the intro to the show, he says, from Los Angeles, California.
That's right. Neither of us are there anymore. And when you said that, I was like, I've never heard the intro because I don't listen to the show. But I love Mike Dawson's voice.
Yep. From Los Angeles, California. I'm sure Mike Dawson would.
I'm sure he would re-record it for Vinny.
Or you could just take out the Los Angeles.
From an undisclosed location in Virginia, but not Quantico. And also in the Santa Barbara wine country. See, I'm just trying to show you how good I am at voiceover.
Thanks, Nancy. That diction really has paid off.
Thanks.
Anna Vocino, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic Eat Happy schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really appreciate you putting down all of the boxes of marinara to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street.
Thanks for having me. You're fun. Can you tell all the other podcast hosts to be more fun?
Yeah, but they don't listen. Literally, they don't.
Literally and figuratively.
Except you, Adam Carolla. I know you listen. All right. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend and things.
When does this air?
It's like fucking July. Happy 4th of July, Anna.
There you go. Be timely. Be evergreen.
I hope you had a happy 4th of July.
Oh.
Merry Christmas, Anna. Okay, bye. Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2001 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend, subscribe, and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.